Well, thanks for joining us again. This is Newspaper Review, and I say welcome to the conversation. We have Barrister Darlington Agumo joining the conversation. Barrister, good morning once again.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Barrister.
You're welcome.
Well, of course, Chukwuma Okoro stays with me on this one, as always. We'll also be going to our outstations where we'll be speaking with Dennis, who is the Institute of Public Relations Governing Council. Well, good morning to you, just to ensure that you are there. Good morning. Well, I'm pretty sure we'll connect with our outstation guest. Oh yes, he's very much there. Well, we'll get your audio cleared out and we'll be able to hear you shortly as we newspaper review. We'll also be going to Abuja, where Barrister Henry Terrasso will be joining us from, and I hope that this time around we will be able to hear him clearly. The network seems to be acting up, and then you start to ask yourself, why then are the network providers increasing tariff? Why are we paying more? You cannot just have a seamless connection between Lagos and Abuja. But then it's easier to
Lagos and Lagos.
You can even have a seamless connection between Lagos and Lagos. Interesting times.
That is another NEPA for you, where we pay for darkness.
We're looking at headlines from the dailies. Gentlemen, let's dive in. Of course, the big story on some of the dailies, Daily Independent, is Rivers State. Well, it reads here, emerge from political crisis, Fubara assures. Kogi government bans rallies, public gatherings over security threat. Adeleke threatens to dethrone traditional rulers over communal clashes. Edo killings, Okpebolo vows justice for victims. Yusuf wants those arrested paraded. Vigilante groups pose risk if unregulated. Ex-CP, Daily Independent, that's the paper. Tinubu extends tenure of immigration CJ. Nanda. Passenger demand grows 6.7% in Africa, coming from Ayata. All right, thank you very much. Now, 2027, perished thoughts of retaining presidency. CP-PDP tells Tinubu, and the bottom strip there, NAFDA clarifies reopening of Onitsha medicine market. And yes, of course, these are the headlines. But let's start off with the Natasha conversation. Let's just, chime in on that conversation before we get into other issues now. Now, according to the Punch newspaper, she says, the Punch tags it, Natasha defies Kogi government order, goes home to her constituents. Now, she has said, according to reports from the Punch newspaper, that, look, she has come home to celebrate Eid al-Fitr with her constituents, and she has encouraged them to come out. Now, the Punch tags it, Natasha defies Kogi rally ban, confirms Sallah visit to constituents. And if you go deeper into that story from the Punch newspaper, you'll see that she's already in Kogi State. It says, she's there to celebrate Eid al-Fitr with her constituents, and she's encouraged them to come out. Now, there was a flyer that we showed earlier. If we can put that flyer up again, you would see the flyer is courtesy, according to the flyer there, it's courtesy Kogi Central constituents, which are her constituents. Yes, that's the flyer there. The homecoming of the Queen Natasha. All right, so what are your reactions, gentlemen? Let me start off with, let me take it out of Lagos. Let me take it to Mr. Dennis Ekemezie. What's your reaction? He joins us from Orca outstation. Be aware that VOP has outstations in Edo, Orca, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. So we'll be visiting these stations to bring you correspondence. Once again, Dennis Ekemezie, let's have your thoughts now on the homecoming of Natasha. Go right ahead. Well, unfortunately, the network isn't very friendly and we can barely hear. We'll fix that. We'll fix that and come back to take your thoughts there. Chukuma.
Well, Natasha is home. She's home. She's home. And Barrister said something, you know, even before we got into newspaper review that, look, the politician, was it Barrister or, I think one of them said that, look, Natasha will actually be in Kogi by now.
That will be the smart thing for a politician.
The smart thing for a politician to do, because the order did not ban her from going home. It just said, don't come home with a convoy. And now, how do you define a convoy? I mean, Moses, if you, myself, Barrister, and maybe another friend, or the other friend, you know, so, you see, some of the time, when people make laws, they don't even know the implications of what they say. I mean, like now that she's home, are you going to lock her gate? Are you going to dig trenches around her community again so that people cannot drive in to go and see her? If you dig trenches, well, people will simply walk to her house and felicitate her on the occasion of the Eid al-Fitr, according to, she said, I'm going home, I've come home to celebrate Sallah with my people, and you can't stop her.
Of course.
So, what the Kogi state government is doing is that they are simply jittery, if you ask me. They are jittery. Unfortunately, we have people in government who are unable to gauge the pulse of society. They are always reactive instead of being proactive. The best thing for them to have done is to keep quiet. Allow Natasha to come home. What kind of violence are you anticipating? Okay, like Prince said, okay, you are clearly trying to protect her, you know, from harm's way. Maybe the harm's way that you put her into, you are now turning around to protect her. That is good, if that is what they are aiming at. But unfortunately, that is not what they are.
Well, more often than not, we've seen the situation where when government says, don't protest because we have intelligence reports that people will, you know, hijack the protest. We've seen that some of these people that end up hijacking the protest and turning it into something else have links to the government or whoever makes the announcements in the first instance.
Moses, you are being very modest. Okay. You are being very modest when you say they have links. It is actually the government that sponsors those protests. All of us were here, what played out in 2020 and bad governance. We had a protest to stop the protest. And government didn't say anything. Government wasn't like, oh.
And they were carrying machete.
Security agencies were protecting those that were protesting against the protest.
But the moment the real protesters came out, government unleashed policemen after them. They restricted them first. They say, okay, you can gather at Ganefa, Rumi Park, somewhere in Ejota. Another park somewhere.
Somewhere in Abuja too.
You know. And the police stopped people from protesting. But the one that was organized by the government, they had a free reign.
You
know, so that is to tell you the kind of leadership, the kind of government.
The thing is that you see that unwittingly, the Kogi state government are making Natasha popular. Unknown to them, this woman has become more popular now than before. And it is because of the actions thing. Instead of drawing this unnecessary attention to her. Because the question is, why did you say she should not come into Kogi with her people who came to welcome her and all that? Apparently they started from the airport or something. And you say they should not do that. On what ground? What crime did she commit? So people will now put two and two together and say, look, this woman is unnecessarily being persecuted. And of course, being a woman, she will always get sympathy of the people. That's what they have forgotten. She will always get the sympathy of the people. If you truly have recorded her according to you, why are you now jittery? Let me see those people who will come out to welcome her, since the constituency have all signed their signature and written their name that they have recorded her. So what are they now coming to do? You see, that is why it is not good to overplay your tricks. When you overplay your tricks, it will always boomerang.
Okay, Barry, I think what is essentially happening, what we see before us, is one of the downsides of the presidential system of government, where you have executive powers, you know, executive powers put so much on the executive, especially in developing democracies like we have in Africa, like we have in Africa. The framers of the social contract didn't design it to be in this manner. That is why it is still better in the parliamentary system of government, where you have a college of ministers, you know, a college of, yes, representatives who sit together and take decisions. And the prime minister, who is the first among equals, doesn't even have a final say. Exactly. It's more like he just communicates what the collective responsibility decisions that they have taken. But in the presidential system of government, the president has overbearing power and its influence. And we see it happen in the United States of America, where Trump is bypassing legislature, you know, to reel out executive orders. Because clearly, he knows that the only people who get the presidential order, the presidential this thing, the executive order, is the judiciary. And that process is a very long process. Before the judiciary is able to vacate it, he must have had his way. So that is what we have. We have a ban on recourse to the legislature.
Understand?
When they are one of the
why
presidential
this thing
system
is
of
very
government as we
painful.
have it.
It is happening under the watch of a man that his supporters and handlers have told us he created democracy. He fought for democracy. In fact, he's the one that invented democracy in Nigeria. All these things are happening under his watch. So I don't know what they are going to tell us again about Tinubu. All the things that happened under him, it has never happened in Nigeria since the creation of this country. It has never happened. So if you fought for democracy, should this thing be happening under your watch? It shouldn't.
Okay.
It shouldn't.
Let's go back to Oka. Let's hear from Mr. Dennis Ekemeze.
Thank you very much. I said earlier, thank you for promoting me to the level of Vice Chancellor. However, I remain a past National Vice President and Vice Chairman of Governing Council of NIPR, Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. The point is that from what Punch headline says, it appears that Natasha is already in Kogi State, in Lokoja. And the governor's statement, is it not infringing on her fundamental human rights? Freedom of movement, freedom of association, freedom of worship, because she goes home to celebrate the Sallah, the festival of the Muslims. And we recall again what happened during the election. Yahya bracketed the roads, claiming that he was building roads and this so that she would not enter. And she entered and won the election. I think Yahya Bello, they have not learned that lesson, that a smart lady is a smart lady no matter whatever you try to do. And just as Darlington said, you're also giving her more popularity. And I think she enjoys it better that way. And for somebody to go and see his people, why would the government interfere in such a very family affair, if I will call it? She wants to go home, to stay with her people, to celebrate Sallah. And the government should have allowed her. And that's my take there.
All right, then. Thank you very much.
It's a diversionary, it's purely diversionary. Please, our leaders should learn how to use apply governance for the benefit of the people, for the welfare of the people. And already, as we have seen earlier, that Natasha has already provided her people with a very good means of livelihood. The empowerment she did, the smart school she built within 1 year or so in office. So Kogi State Governor should learn a lesson from the past.
All right, then, thank you.
Bible,
thank you very much.
From the victory.
Thank you very much. Now let's go to Abuja now. Barrister Henry, what's your reaction?
Yes, sir. My reaction is that I think it's clearly an issue of victimization against Natasha, and just like the previous commenters have stated, they are making her more popular. And I think she was able to weigh which is which, and then decided that okay, this is the right time for me to go to Kogi State. Let me clear all these things that are up in the air. And I think she was smart enough to have done that. Now, the INEC is considering, or has considered the fact that okay, these are the videos that are flying around, and then also that this thing we have to clear ourselves. I also want to state that all decisions that are being taken should not just be
All right, and unfortunately, the network came in again. Well, let's dive into some other dailies now. The Guardian newspaper, they probably will go back to the Daily Independent later, but let's look at the Guardian newspaper. Fresh setback for AFCFTA ECOWAS protocol over tariff by Sahel states. Forget 2027, Nigerians will reject you, PDP group tells. Anyway, let's focus on this story first. This, Sahel state story. Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, talking about placing 0.5% tariff on imported goods. Now, Business Day reports that 200 billion naira Nigerian exports face new Sahel tariff. And this is as according to reports on the Business Day, he says over the past 4 years, Nigeria has exported an average of 234 billion, become tougher for manufacturers. And all of this because of the already existing high cost of production back home in Nigeria. So they are spending so much to produce things here, and then if they have to move these things, they will now pay a little more. And these are trade hubs anyway. They've been doing business with Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger for some time now. So what impact do you think this will have on both Nigeria and the Sahel states? Africa in general, and the Sahel states? Barrister?
I don't think it will have any effect on the Sahel states because they have moved on. Rather, it will be to their own advantage.
They have?
Yes, it will be to their own advantage because you need them now to push out your goods and on their own terms. It's akin to what Donald Trump is doing to Europe and other countries like Asia people, China and co. It's akin to it. But I ask you, what is Nigeria doing? What is Nigeria doing? We have become a dumping ground for all manner of goods from the Western world. Are we reacting in the same manner? The answer is no. Do we even have the technocrats to manage this thing? The answer is no. Even that the in population and in production wise, they took it to Ghana. Of goods across Africa, I think Nigeria should be topping the list because we are more in population. Yeah, they didn't bother when they took this into Ghana. So the Sahel states have moved on, even under a military regime, they have moved on. Because so far we have not heard that their people are complaining or protesting. If they have not been managing their resources very well, I'm sure the people would have been reacting. But especially that Niger, they say is one of the fastest growing economies in the whole world now, under a military regime. So Nigeria will be the loser, not those states. So will be the loser.
Okay, quite interesting. Barrister, on the contrary, I'm not sure that Nigeria will be the loser because this thing we are talking about export. So if you have to pay 0.5% tariff on exported products, what do? You simply transfer the cost to the end users.
Yeah.
So yes, Essentially, so it is the people that are in these Sahel countries that will bear the brunt because they have to pay more
to purchase goods.
to purchase goods that are coming from Nigeria. And mind you, they are running away from France and Europe.
Hold on. Are you aware that they are selecting these goods that will come in? Are you aware?
No matter how they do that.
Eh?
No matter how they do that.
And that's why I told you that Nigeria are they reacting in the same manner.
How much of their products come to Nigeria?
You mean the Sahel state?
Yes.
You may not, but they are now trying to be independent.
Independent how?
They can.
No, what they are trying to say is they are slamming this high tariff so that they will be able to generate money to fund the Alliance of Sahel States.
Good.
So that typically tells you that they don't even have a base. They are looking for money.
It simply means that those that reside within the Sahel states will have to spend a whole lot more, and this
on products from
that the
West
other
African countries
would enjoy. Especially
when Nigeria and Ghana seem to be the manufacturing hub on which they rely for products.
Telling you,
if they are running away from Europe, rely on
I am
Nigeria.
telling you, they are going to be selective on products that will come into their country.
Selective how?
Is it everything that they welcome?
No, but it doesn't matter.
It matters a lot.
For on those ones that they select, they'll have to pay more because what the manufacturer here in Nigeria will do is to simply transfer the cost to the end user. It's as simple as that. So it is their own problem, exactly like what Trump is doing. Trump is slamming 25% tariff on products from Canada. How much of those products are manufactured locally in the United States of America? That is the question. And when China retaliates, how does that affect the manufacturing in United States of America, where practically they have outsourced more than 60%, 70% of their manufacturing to Asia, where labor is cheap and all of that. So it's a problem. A lot of people are even questioning the rationale behind what Trump is doing. And these people are borrowing from Trump. So essentially, my concern is that in this manner, what will even happen? Because the Africa, before this, their exit from ECOWAS, who were not even doing much in terms of intra-ECOWAS, intra-African trade, we still trade more with Europe. Now, Netherlands happens to be Nigeria's biggest trading partner in the whole of Europe. Netherlands, many people don't know.
As small as it is.
As small as it is. Netherlands, I think France is even number 4. Italy is number 3. I think UK is number 2. So in all of this, how much do we do with South Africa? How much do we do with Namibia, Lesotho, Egypt, and fellow African countries? So essentially, AFTA is the one that might actually benefit from this. Those products, those African products that don't go to this Sahel Alliance will find their way to other places in Africa.
And that was what Okonjo-Iweala has been complaining.
All right, let's get...
Africans are not taking advantage of AFTA.
Okay. Mr. Ekemezie, let's have your thoughts on this one.
Well, it's a simple demand and supply theory, in the sense that the Sahel region, as you rightly said, have to pay more. And Nigeria, Ghana will also shift more of their products to the area that they will make more gain. The trade of nations will explain it better for us to know that Nigeria income generation on that trade will be less, in the sense that selective trade, buying, supplying and demand in the Sahel region will be limited to that of Nigeria. I think that's my own view on that, no matter whatever happens, the Sahel region will also like to open markets from other areas, maybe in Europe and others. So it's not easy for each side.
All right. Moses, before we move, Barrister says something about Nigeria losing the AFTA headquarters to Ghana. You know, it is not strange because Ghana seems to be doing well in terms of dividends, in terms of democracy. If you measure the democracy quotients of African countries, Ghana is doing far better than Nigeria. That was not the first time we lost Microsoft to Ghana. We are losing companies to Ghana. What happened to NEPAD, New Economic Partnership for Africa Development? We lost it to South Africa. It should have been in Lagos, but we lost it to South Africa. So it tells you about how Nigeria is rated, even within the Committee of African Nations. And that again tells you about the kind of regional rivalry. Our regional rivalry used to be between Nigeria and South Africa, but now within the ECOWAS sub-region is between Nigeria and Ghana. And Ghana is clearly taking the lead ahead of Nigeria. When was the last time an American president visited Nigeria? Bill Clinton. But Obama was here. Who again was in Ghana? Obama was in Ghana. Who again? Is it George Bush too? I can't recall. But two other American presidents have visited Ghana. And they are okay, Kamala Harris was even in Ghana. They visited Liberia too. You know, so in the scheme of things, in order of presidents, they don't even count Nigeria. Look at how they treat our presidents when they went to burial of Nelson Mandela. Look at during the swearing in of who? This is it Cyril Ramaphosa and all of that. So it tells you how they treat Nigeria as a giant, as a supposed giant of Africa. So this is done for us to do some kind of introspection and say, where are we in Africa? Where do we actually belong? It's a big question that we need to answer.
We cannot get answer except to get a good leader. Because before now, Nigeria was up there. Everybody saw it. Before now, Nigeria was up there, being respected in Africa and in the world.
Now, I know this is not a question and answer segment of the show, but I have a question. Suppose, how has Nigeria's foreign I beg your pardon. How has Nigeria's foreign policy affected its relationship with its African neighbors?
The
policy has always been your neighbor first.
Your foreign policy cannot be stronger than your country. The only respect you get is as strong as your economy and your politics and your military are. If you don't have a strong base at home, forget about foreign policy. Nobody will take you serious. These things can never relate. Go and check all the countries that we are talking about here. Look at what they are doing politically, democratically, economically.
So basically, in essence, in dealings with its neighbors, Nigeria has not asked itself, what is in it for me?
No, okay. Nigeria, unfortunately, to answer your question directly, unfortunately, Nigeria's foreign policy is couched in what they call the three concentric circles, you know, of home, that is your neighbors, for your immediate neighbors, which is West African sub-region, Africa, and the world at large. You know, that is how we have, our foreign policy has been designed, right from independence.
No, it is Africa as the centerpiece.
No, that is in three concentric circles. The first circle is the West African sub-region. The second one is Africa as a continent, done globally. And that was why we were able to find ourselves as members of the non-aligned movement, even when we were clearly aligned with the West. It happens. It happened everywhere. Even India was aligned. India that was leader of the non-aligned, they were clearly aligned. Yeah, now, that said, Nigeria plays this big brother role, and that is what we inherited from the military regime when they said, look, we have a lot of money. We don't even know what to do with money. That was Gowon's mantra. So as at that time, we were exporting both main materials. We look about we had the African, this is a Peace Corps that we used to transport, that we used to export to...
Technical aid.
Technical aid corps that we used to export to other parts of Africa. Those places that we send today are doing better than us in terms of the education that we're even talking about. You know, so, and because it has this African centerpiece like Barrister Darlington, so which is the second circle, we have tried, look at what we did with South Africa during the apartheid, the frontline states. We were members of the frontline states, even when we weren't sharing contiguous border with South Africa. And unfortunately, Nigerians make the mistake of thinking that, look, we did so much for South Africa. We tried, but we didn't do much for them. Apartheid collapsed not because Nigeria was involved. Apartheid collapsed because it was time for apartheid to go down. First of all, communism had died. Communism was a bulwark, you know, against... South Africa was a bulwark against communist infiltration to South Africa. So that was why Britain and America maintained that stronghold on apartheid. Because according to them, so long as, if apartheid, they were trying to ring it around communism. You know, they had the Communist Party of South Africa. And
yes.
It's a long history. It's a long history.
Yes,
so
let's not get into
Nigeria
it.
has not actually, in terms of stability, we don't have a stable foreign policy. That's the final word. We don't.
All right, then. Well, unfortunately. Let's take some other headlines here. Rivers will emerge stronger from political crisis, says Fubara. Gentlemen, how do you react to this headline? Well, he said, maybe I should look. Okay, there's a writer to it. TMG, others flay allegations by ex-HOS, called for constructive engagement. Well, the governor was entertaining some Muslim faithful that came to see him, and he did moot this statement that Rivers will emerge stronger. The governor speaking faith, speaking hope. Is there hope? Does the governor have a place in the future of Rivers State?
That is all things being equal.
I think he's trying to be hopeful and trying to douse tension.
Exactly.
So he's putting out these statements.
When you say all things being equal, he's on suspension now, and he can be for only 2 terms, right? He will eventually come back as governor of Rivers State.
But with the people,
Without a structure.
With the people that are scrambling for the soul of Rivers State, they are still there.
And he's not idle either, and that is why he's speaking.
They are still there, but if Fubara
he's doing underground work. I think essentially part of the thing that I think that the president did was to use this 6 months period, to see some kind of modulation of the differences that they have. So that, to see whether they are able to, reconcile their differences.
He's not doing that.
No. I said the 6 month period in the first instance. That is what they are supposed to do.
No, I don't think that is the intention of Tinubu.
Okay.
The intention of Tinubu is to whittle down the influence of Fubara so that the state can be hijacked. That's what the Sallah
if that was his intention, why didn't he allow them to impeach him and let him go forever?
No, because that people wouldn't have succeeded.
Who told you?
No.
Okay. Let's go.
The Attorney General is with the man now. He wouldn't have succeeded. They know.
All right. So, Mr. Dennis, Mr. Ekekemezi, let's have your thoughts now.
Well, it's in device or mechanism is not yet within the power. He has lost power, though there is power conglomerate coming up. And there is cause for dialogue. The expectation is that the parties involved with dialogue and they'll be able to come, if that is his futuristic tendency or expectation. However, as a contradiction in the system, have we reorganized the internal contradiction that's spoiling the Rivers State polity? I think somebody staying outside dictating for what is going on, what will be happening in the state. I think that's the problem. Have we nipped it from the board? It's an expectation, which at times I say democracy in action. He's entitled to his view and his expectation. Maybe he's working internally to know how to wriggle out. There's need for dialogue, for people to come together. There's need for people to talk among the leaders of various groups in Rivers State to come together again and then analyze situation and come up with a favorable opinion or method that Rivers State back to its normal.
All right then. And let's quickly chime in on this headline on compensation amid fears of... let's share our thoughts again on this one. Now, there is a headline linked to that one. The first one is from The Guardian. Second is from The Punch. It says, lynched travelers, governor demands public parade. 14 suspects moved to Abuja. Okay. Now, these are, points of conversation. Some Nigerians have said, well, I particularly have also said that, look, the swiftness of Governor Monday or Bebolo, in as much as we criticize these killings of these individuals, 16 of them, travelers, I mean, it's barbaric. It's barbaric. You don't profile people and carry out jungle justice. Nigeria is too mature a country to be encouraging jungle justice. But then, look on the other side. People have lost faith in authority. People have lost faith in government to protect them because they are being sacked from their homes. In Enugu, there's been a case in Enugu now. You know, farmlands and villages sacked, attacked. People are killed in their homes, and little or nothing is done, or little or nothing is seen to be done to bring to book those that have perpetrated this harm. And so, vigilante groups are taking, people are now taking laws into their hands when they apprehend people that they think are out there to perpetrate harm. They just decide to take their life because they know that if they hand them over to the police, nothing will be done. They will be released at the end of the day. That's one. And then the question on my mind is it right? I asked this question yesterday, and I'm going to throw it out there again. Is it right for hunters to travel with weapons? Is it right? Is there a license? Should they have license for those weapons that they carry? Is it right? Anyway, that's a question I'm putting out there.
Yes, Moses, the question is, the guys said that they were licensed with the guns they were carrying. What happened in Edo State, in Uromi, part of Edo State, is quite unfortunate.
Quite unfortunate,
highly condemnable.
Quite unfortunate.
But again, it brings to the fore the issue of what we call a Nigerian. Who is a Nigerian? Because it does appear now that some Nigerians are more Nigerian than others. Because this is not the first time. For the 8 years of Muhammad Buhari administration, 63,000 Nigerians were killed in cold blood by bandits, terrorists, Boko Haram. Moses, let me repeat I said 63,000, in excess of 63,000 people were killed. According to Punch report, it's in the Punch newspaper. I'm not quoting off my head. It's in the Punch newspaper. 63,000 were killed in cold blood. People were chased away from their homes. Communities were cleansed in a fashion, in a manner of ethnic cleansing. And for no one day was there this kind of uproar. And I'm beginning to ask, why? And now we have the governor of Edo State is already in Kano, trying to commiserate with the governor of Kano State, Yusuf, and condole him. Very beautiful. But how often, how many times has the governor of any of the northern states come down to the south? 19 villages have been sacked in Ehiamufu, part of Enugu State. Has any governor raised a word to say, Peter, I'm sorry for what happened? Nobody. It doesn't happen. It's been going on in a part of Ebonyi State, the whole of Middle Belt Plateau, Taraba. So what kind of country do we have? And I begin to ask, we have started paying the heavy price of silence. Martin Luther King, let me close with this word. Martin Luther King said, in the end of time, what will matter most is not the words and actions of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. People are silent.
That is a fact. And that is why some of us have been shouting from the rooftop. Because when these things continue unchecked, unabated, definitely people will take laws into their hands. There's no two ways about it. There's a limit to killing people. There's a limit to intimidating people. There's a limit to denying people their rights. The federal government cannot claim that they have not been properly advised. I don't see why the Fulani herdsmen should be all over Nigeria, all over the forests, especially in the south here, killing people from their farms.
Unconstrained.
Killing people from their farms. Yesterday in our show, one man who came out and was lamenting how his farm has been ravaged, that he spent over 8 million naira there. The man was taking video and all that.
So what is he going to tell the bank?
I'm telling you. So these are issues. And these people, in fact, they don't even feel remorse. They kill people as if they are killing chicken.
Look at how they slaughtered that young man in Abuja.
In Abuja, dismembered him and all that.
And they ran away.
Eh?
Now the thing is that look, the elders of the Fulani community said, "Don't worry, we are going to fish out the perpetrators." Like when? Who does that? When has it ever happened?
Oh, you fish out, Abi?
That's unfortunate.
Is that the first? Is that the first?
I don't know what our governors are doing. Quite frankly,
Benue State has become a killing field. Indeed. Benue State of all places. They have suffered more killing than any other state.
In that area. But let's go to Oka now. Mr. Dennis, let's have your take on this.
Well, somebody said that blood you are sharing, there is God. There's God, that blood you are sharing. And I wonder also, why would the governor of Edo State move to the north to please or to appease? Are they not same human beings? Are they not Nigerians? And that is the question. Of course, there's a need for people to protect themselves. And that's what I said earlier, that I'm encouraged by the step taken by the Anambra State governor to initiate the Agune Chamber group and the Udogachi, so that if as chief officer of the state, the police and army will not aid to protect the people, then intelligence should also be used. And that's what I said. As it is being domesticated in Anambra State, the other states in the southeast should also look at it as a better option to come to. If Anambra is
all right then. Okay. Well, quite unfortunate there. The network is acting up, but of weakness. But anyway, that's a we'll leave that conversation for another day. Let's touch on a few other headlines here. From The Guardian still, we have petrol stations hike price. FG Dangote set for talks as refinery imports 12.6 million barrels. And we understand that some filling stations, even those that have a partnership arrangement with Dangote Refinery, have increased their pump price 160 naira to about 930 naira. And we understand that some of the filling stations will also increase their price. And this, of course, will have an effect on the price of goods and services that were coming down initially. I mean, there was the suspension of tariff on goods coming into the country so that prices will come down, especially consumables, so that prices will come down. Wouldn't this defeat all the work done already? And again, a big question on my mind is why? Why does it seem like the government of the day is encouraging suffering of the people? If you could negotiate with Dangote Refinery on naira for crude, why wait? I mean, the initial period was 6 months. You waited for it to elapse. You waited another month. It's almost a month after. And then you waited for them to start importing again, buying in dollars. He has bought crude in dollars, which of course will impact the price of production at the end of the day. And then he wants to sell in dollars also to marketers. And this, of course, will affect Nigerians. Why wait until things degenerate before you now get into talks again with this firm? Why? You want to say something?
Barrister?
Yeah,
I wanted to ask, you said the work done already. I was going to ask you which
There was some work done. There was a bag of rice came down from about 120 in December.
90,000.
It came down to 90. It came down to about, yes, it did. Barrister.
You have forgotten that the northern farmers complained that Tinubu opened the border to sabotage them. Is that not a fact?
No, I'm just talking about the price of things that came down. And then they will go up again.
So it's not about the crude. It's not about the oil, this thing. It did not affect it. The thing is that somebody is supporting somebody somewhere. All these things that even marketers are importing, remember that they will soon go to the back and collect the subsidy. Because the 7.7
4 trillion naira.
trillion naira they want to collect from the federal government, is it not because of the oil, the fuel they imported? Is that not where it's so when they sell at lower price, don't think that it's coming down. Don't think so that it's not coming down. They will collect the money through the back door and tell you that their subsidy is gone. Meanwhile, they are paying for it.
And talking about subsidy, you know, all the hoopla, you know, of the hula ballo about the Malta blending plants. We have forgotten everything. Nobody is even talking about that. Who owns those plants? Why were we suddenly buying in large quantities from Malta at a point in time? Nobody talks about that again. That is Nigeria for you. And like Delefanimon says, look, if you have a problem in Nigeria, just pray. A bigger problem will come and overshadow your own, and they will forget.
The thing is that as long as Nigerians have not asked questions about NNPC and who owns this fraud in the oil business will continue. Because you and I was here when they told us that NNPC is now a private company, as it has gone PLC. So who is behind it? That we are now going to pay them 7.7 trillion
7.74 trillion
for a public company. Who will collect that money? Nigerians are not asking questions. And you know the corrupt relationship between OVH and
let's quickly take even if it's for a minute, reactions from Mr. Dennis Ekemeze.
Is it not part of April Fool? Is it not part of April Fool?
Is it? Could it be?
Who is fooling who? Who is fooling who? And then when you depend on the government of palliative, let me use that word, government of palliative, to sort out ends for the country, will it work? Is another April Fool.
Another April Fool. All right, thank you very much. This will be a good place to anchor the conversation, but yes, it's the 1st of April, so happy new month to all Nigerians. Okay, Bryce Darlington.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming on the program.
It's my pleasure with your April Fool.
Well, that's it on the show today. Big thanks also to Mr. Dennis Ekemeze. Thank you very much for your time and your thoughts. I am Moses Humphrey wishing you a beautiful day. Bye for now.
And I am Chukwuma Okoro. See you at 6 o'clock on Political Lens. Bye for now.